Riding through the rolling grasslands of the Mongolian steppes brings a certain kind of peaceful charm I can vicariously experience when playing The Legend of Khiimori. This game was developed by Acer Interactive and Nighting Games and published by Mindscape. It was released into Early Access early this month. I put about 10 hours in the game and feel that I have a good idea of what to expect. So without further ado, let's get to the review. You play as a 13th century Mongolian yam courier. Your job is to deliver goods to various people in your network and find new potential customers to add to the network. As of right now, there is no story mode, but that's something planned for the future. Instead, what you can expect is a large open world to explore and ride around in. Another thing to point out is that this is not the typical Genghis Khan horde that many probably think of when they think of Mongols. In fact, there's not really any combat in the game at all. There is hunting, but it's really simple. Just use your arrows to shoot the animal and then it disappears in a puff of smoke. Alternatively, the game also offers a pouch you can throw that has an aroma animals don't like, aka animal dung. There is another form of combat where the players can fight spirits in various corrupted areas. However, it's completely optional, and I didn't even realize it was a thing until reading the devlogs. Although it's very similar to fighting aggressive wild animals, bottom line, don't expect this to be Red Dead Redemption, but in Mongolia. There are some initial missions that introduce the game's mechanics as well as explain your role. However, beyond a tiny bit of flavor dialogue, there isn't much in the way of any overarching narrative or interesting characters. While I'm sure that's coming in a dedicated campaign, I'd love to see some more compelling characters to meet in the sandbox mode. Riding around to deliver goods to people living in the middle of nowhere seemed like something where the courier would get to know some of these people, and it felt lacking to only exchange simple pleasantries. That said, I want to give the game praise for having actual Mongolian speaking voice actors. It definitely helped to add an extra layer to the immersion in a game where that is clearly a priority. And the immersion is most obviously seen in the horses the player rides around on and takes care of. Visually, they all look great. Without knowing much about horses other than what I've seen in movies and games, and the few times I've seen them in real life, I'd say that the animations are excellent. Mechanically, they all have different stats and traits that affect how well they perform under certain conditions. Most importantly are the meters that players need to monitor, being hunger, thirst, the horse's overall mood, stamina, and their health. Obviously, if things like hunger or thirst is depleted, then the horse's health will drop. If their health ever drops to 0, then the horse will faint, and you'll need to reload. Pushing the horse too hard and draining all of their stamina also results in the loss of health. Mood affects things like the horse's inclination to follow commands, such as galloping or jumping. Additionally, the horse can get dirty, spooked, or injured. This could be from things like riding through mud, having wolves chase after the horse, or tripping on uneven terrain exacerbated from unbalanced saddlebags. There's a lot to factor in the horse's overall well-being, and it's what gives the game a lot of charm. I genuinely started caring for the animals under my charge. Luckily, the game gives you plenty of ways to improve your horse's condition from all the different forageable items you could pick up. Woohoo! There are different things to craft as well, which provide bonuses to various things like mood, stamina drain, etc. Then there are the interactions with the horse, such as petting them, or even brushing them and cleaning their hooves. It all plays into the mechanics, but also adds that extra layer to immersion and the game's atmosphere. As mentioned, each one of the horses also have stats and various traits they can learn or have innately. All these stats affect various aforementioned things, or can have other benefits like being hardier in various climate conditions. With all these stats come horse breeding, so that players can try and min-max their horse's numbers, or just try and get that right color coat. It's deep without being too overwhelming. Plus, the foals are adorable. The gameplay loop primarily revolves around doing courier missions or exploration missions. These provide money and points to level up your courier ranks, which give you access to more types of consumable items. Starting with the latter, explorations are fairly straightforward. You're assigned to find a specific village or person, and their location is marked on the map. It's then up to the player to figure out how to safely navigate there. The courier missions comes in two types. The first simply has you collecting forageable items and giving it to them. I found these quite funny because a lot of the time it was for very mundane things that they could easily find themselves if they just walked 20 feet in any direction. But we live in a world where Uber Eats exists, so I guess the laziness had to start somewhere. The other type of courier mission is actually being a courier. These missions involve getting some items from the sender and delivering them to a recipient. They started fairly small, but got more complicated as they progressed. Some items couldn't really withstand certain conditions, like being too hot or too cold, or they were ruined in water, so be careful when crossing a river. I had one that was a wrapped bit of salted meat that attracted wild animals. Basically, all these items have a quality rating that will fall depending on how reckless you are, which affects the mission rewards at the end. Sometimes you also get really heavy items. It can be possible to rearrange the bag so one isn't lopsided. Other times, I just had to go slow because otherwise my horse might be more prone to tripping because of the unbalanced bags. The terrain and weather also play a role in how your horse travels the landscape. Things like steep slopes, mud, snow, etc. can slow a horse down. Strong winds can unbalance a horse, or intense rainstorms or blizzards can bring visibility down to almost nothing. Scattered throughout the world are other points of interest the player can interact with. There's the uvus, which can be repaired to appease the spirits, various ruins that hold chests with goodies inside, and several broken down bridges that can be repaired. These involve needing certain materials to fix these things, so sometimes I just found myself trying to do these miscellaneous tasks rather than any particular mission. I liked how the world encouraged exploration for the sake of doing it, rather than always needing a particular goal in mind. Before I get into my final thoughts, if you're enjoying the video or found it helpful, then please consider giving this video a like and subscribing for more video game coverage in the future in the form of reviews and first impressions. And if you're feeling extra generous, then you could tip me via YouTube Super Thanks or consider joining my YouTube membership. Every little bit goes a long way in helping improve the channel. Right now, the game runs for $29.99 USD. I put about 10 hours into it as I mentioned, but I know there's definitely more I could have done. I didn't get nearly involved in the breeding mechanics. There was the desert biome I never even went to, along with the rest of the world map. Plenty of challenges or points of interest I've yet to discover and complete. Basically, I imagine I have many more hours left with the content already available. Although that doesn't mean that the game doesn't come with any problems. Obviously it's early access, so I expect many of these to be fixed, and they actually were patching a lot when it first released, so I have faith. However, I did encounter some graphical hiccups with the game. I think it could be better optimized because there seemed to be some areas that hitched. Sometimes things would bug out and I'd have to reload to reset things, like UI overlays not going away, or the horse would wander around and get itself killed. I also noticed that the weather could change really rapidly. I wasn't sure if this was intentional to mimic weather changes on the Mongolian steppes, but the shifts felt way too rapid to me. All in all though, there was nothing that impeded my enjoyment too much, but enough to be noticeable. Furthermore, the environments look great and really help to bring the world alive. However, the people could use a lot of work. I thought their animations looked stiff and their facial textures weren't that great. It felt like someone was puppeteering their bodies when you went into conversation. I actually think this could be easily fixed by just not having zoomed in conversations. I didn't think they added much, but I guess it's because there's no gripping story right now. I'd say that if you really love the concept and want to support the devs, then the price tag is probably worth it. For those who want a more polished and or complete experience, then obviously wait for the 1.0 release or until a sale. The future feels bright for this game as it already has an excellent foundation. Some things they have planned are horse and character customizations, horseback racing, of course more breeds, and even falconry, which sounds really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to returning to this in the future. If you played the game, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't, then let me know if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, or if you have any other questions. I hope this video helped you in some small way, and if it did, then please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, or whatever it is you feel like doing. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.